I was going through a breakup back in 2017, and I remembered how I felt in that specific moment, right? Now, there are a variety of different things that one can do after you're in a relationship for 2 to 3 years with a girl that you really liked, right? And I remember being in a position where I was just getting myself going with educating myself in real estate, acquiring clients and things like that. That was 2017 moving on to 2018. That was what I was focused on, right? And for whatever reason, it wasn't working out. Did I feel good about it? No, not necessarily. However, what did I do to shift my emotions? What did I do to still stay on track and be able to fulfill the goals that I knew that I was aiming towards, right? What did I do to be able to stay on track so that 5 to 6 years later, I can own a $10 million real estate portfolio and be a successful real estate agent like I am today? Well, that's exactly what I want to speak about today in this video, because it goes a long way when you can control your emotions and you can control how you feel in the present moment. Now, I want to talk about 6 things specifically that I can guide you through that, even thinking back to that moment, I was still applying, that got me through that breakup, that got me to hit the 7 to 8 figure real estate portfolio that I have now, and that is going to continue to stack on to do all the incredible things that I'm going to do into the future. So the first thing that I want to talk about is whatever it is, right? It doesn't necessarily even have to be that, right? It doesn't have to be a breakup. It doesn't have to be anything. But if it's, let's say, for example, you're waking up in the morning and you said you were going to start to wake up in the morning early, and you feel a certain type of way about hitting the gym because perhaps you're tired, or maybe you think you didn't get enough sleep, and now you're feeling a certain type of way. Well, the first thing that I want to tell you is just go do it, right? You already said that you were going to do it. Go do it. If it's a situation like that where it's, you said you were going to do something and now it's time for you to do it and you're feeling a certain type of way, just do it anyways, right? Just adapt that philosophy in your mind anytime that something arises where you don't necessarily feel like doing it, but you know it's exactly what you need to do. Just do it. That's the first thing that I want to say. Now, the second thing, if it's a situation where you do have some time to think about, right? Maybe you're chilling on your deck, enjoying the sun, and you have some time to just contemplate on the ideas that are running rampant through your mind. You can ask yourself, why do I feel the way I feel? Why is this happening? That's the first step out of that specific sequence, right? And the next thing is, can you control it, right? So before I move on to can you control it, when you're asking yourself why you feel the way you feel, the reason why you're doing that is because a lot of the times we may feel a certain type of way because of something that happened to us, an experience that we were capable of perceiving and experiencing in the present moment, and we don't necessarily ask ourselves why. We just assume that we're having a certain type of day, and we may assume that it's because of X, Y, and Z, but why is that specific experience bothering us, right? Why is that breakup bothering you? Why is that call that didn't go your way bothering you? Why is that appointment that you weren't capable of closing bothering you? Why is that girl that you tried to approach and rejected you bothering you? Why are these things bothering you, right? Whatever it is, maybe you have some conflicts in the family, right? Or somebody communicated with you a certain way that you didn't like. Why is that bothering you, right? Now, when you start to think about these things, the reason why I like to think about it is because now you're working towards finding a solution. So let's, for example, say that you were on the phone and you were prospecting a specific lead and you were doing your best to close him and set an appointment, and for whatever reason, you weren't capable of closing him and setting that appointment. Now you get upset, now you get discouraged, and then your other calls after that are now worse because now you're allowing this feeling to affect your performance. The reason why this is happening is because you are not allowing yourself to reframe the situation, right? And this is where you're going. The next question is, can you control it? So as you're reframing the situation, you want to focus on the positive things that are happening because of it, not the negative things, right? Because if you start to dwell on the negatives, now you're going to start to feel negative. Now you're going to start to feel all the bad things that one could feel from going through a specific experience. And not that those bad things are wrong either, right? Everything has a side to it. There's always going to be a polarity. There's always a yin and a yang. However, if you continue to choose to focus on the bad thing that happened out of the experiences that you have in life, what's going to end up happening is that you're going to continue to be in this cycle of feeling negative, feeling bad, and doing worse because now you're in this downward spiral, right? Instead, what you want to do is you want to focus on an upward spiral. Well, how do you create that? Well, it's about focusing on the positives that stem from any situation and any possible experience that you could possibly be a part of. In the event that you didn't get the appointment, perhaps there is an experience or there's a scenario where you can pull from and learn. What is that scenario? Well, maybe my tonality was off. Maybe my delivery was off. Maybe I didn't know a certain question. Maybe I didn't handle this objection properly. Now that you understand what that is, now you are utilizing it to focus on what you can control. All right, well, now I'm going to go ahead and drill this handler, right? I got to speak to my wife. Let's say you didn't know how to handle that, right? All right, cool. Well, what are some ways that I can handle? I got to speak to my wife. Well, if if your wife was on board, will you be on board as well? Yes. All right, perfect. So why don't we do this? Let's set up a time for us to get together for 10 or 15 minutes and have a conversation how we could go to Miami and get your family there, right? Now, if your wife doesn't want to meet, that's completely fine. We could go ahead and reschedule. However, it sounds like you're on board, correct? Yes. All right, perfect. That would be like the handler, let's say, for example. And then I would take that handler and I would drill it, right? I would maybe add 2 more to my list of, I don't know what the wife wants, or I gotta talk to the wife, right? Maybe that's the objection. I would add 2 more, and then I would consistently drill those 3 objection handlers until I get it right? Let's say you're out in the field and you're talking to a girl that you see, and maybe perhaps she rejected you right away, or she told you that she had a boyfriend. If she told you that, then perhaps you communicated interest a little bit too much up front, right? Maybe she didn't know you, she didn't feel comfortable, she felt like you were coming on to her too strong, and she communicated with you that she had a boyfriend to protect herself from a potential suitor that wanted her, right? Instead, what you would do now from that situation is you would calibrate and you would say, okay, well, I maybe came off too strong with the next interaction. Maybe I'm going to come off a little bit more neutral. Maybe I'm going to give her an opportunity to first like me before I go ahead and advance to the number. So these are things that you can now learn from and calibrate from. But if you're dwelling consistently on all the things that you did wrong and all the negatives and what the other person possibly thinks and how you're an idiot and how you're stupid and how you're never going to do anything, then all you're going to do is stay in a situation where it's disempowering and you're not going to fucking learn anything from it. So it makes sense for you to understand that you are having an experience that you're having because of the behaviors, the actions, the thought process, and how you're even presently feeling in that specific moment, what that all is giving off, right? And all of that is changeable. All of that is fixable, right? You can shift whoever you want to be at any given moment, right? Why do you think we watch movies and there's specific actors that play a role very fucking well? They may be having a fucking bad day during that specific day that they were supposed to be filming, but despite of that bad day that they were having, they still managed to get into character, which is what's important, to get into character and manifest the experience. And that's the difference. So be able to think about what you can control and be able to get into character, right? Ask yourself why you're feeling the way that you're feeling and take all the positives, take all the feedback and all the constructive criticism that you can take from your own experiences as you self-analyze them and start to apply those things, because those are the things that are going to shift your mood into a more positive mood, especially when you start to get positive results, which you will, right? And even with that frame, right, when you start to get positive results, as if the feedback that you've already gained, whether you perceive it or interpret it as negative or positive, is negative. It's all fucking positive. Feedback is all positive because it allows you to retain a piece of information that now you can put down, take a look at, and analyze and say, okay, well, this is what I did right, this is what I did wrong, let me work on the things that I did wrong, and let me keep doing the things that I did right, right? So this is what you gotta be. This is the mindset that you gotta be in. Now, another thing as well is once you start to move towards the right direction, now you understand what you have to apply. Stop thinking about the things that's making you feel a certain type of way, right? Stop thinking about the things that are making you feel upset, making you feel depressed, making you feel angry, making you feel in a disempowered state. Why? Because the more that you keep thinking about all these negatives, is unless you're utilizing it to pull energy from those negatives to allow yourself to be positively driven and positively inspired, like somebody's talking shit and now you have the desire and the inspiration to prove them wrong, right? That could be a very, very powerful inspiration and drive. However, in the case that it's not that and it's something that maybe, let's say, was embarrassing and you keep dwelling on it, right? What you gotta do is you gotta stop thinking about that, because it's not as important as you're making it seem. It's not as important as you're making it sound to yourself, and you're fucking lying to yourself. You're delivering an inaccurate assessment of what's going on in front of you, and it's hurting you. So the best thing that you could do is take 2 steps back, figure out what it is, right? Why are you feeling the way you feel? Can you control it, right? What can you control? And then start to do those things that you can control, and you'll start to see that as you put your body in motion, as you start to behave in a specific sequence of patterns, you are going to start to create a different reality, because the realities that we create is based on the behaviors, the thought process that we have, and our communication. That's what it's based out of, right? So if I can shift my way of thinking, if I can shift my communication, my delivery, my tonality, if I can shift my body language, I'm probably going to shift my mood. I'm probably going to shift the chemistry in my body. Because when I think about a sad person, what do you think about? When you think about a sad person, you think about a person that's slouched, that has a frown, that's very closed up. That's what you think about when you think about a sad person. But when you think about a happy person, you think about a person that's a little bit more open, a person that's willing to smile more, a person that's more outgoing, a person that wants to communicate, a person that his body physiology, his energy, his communication, his delivery is more positive, is more confident. It's more, I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks, I'm just having a great fucking day. That's what that person looks like. So if you start to embody that physiology instead of the frown, instead of the slouching, instead of the closed up body language, then you will realize that the experiences that you'll start to have will actually start to shift the way that you feel. That's why it's always, you can say, prescribed if you're having a bad day, quote unquote, to hit the gym, right? To hit the gym, or to hit a boxing workout, or to hit something that's going to be physically engaging. Because as you physically engage yourself in these activities, now you are changing the chemistry within your body, because you have a specific behavior in motion, a specific pattern in motion that's going to trigger a different experience. And from that different experience, you are now going to start to trigger different thoughts, which are now going to stimulate different feelings. So this is how you control your emotions. It's not necessarily about controlling your emotions and you're saying, I can control my emotions, I want to feel happy, and now I feel happy. No, it's not about that. It's about understanding that the reason why you feel the way you feel is because of a specific thing. Perhaps it's a belief system that you have, perhaps it's a thought process that led you down a road where it's limiting and it's not accurately assessing how you could productively feel about the specific thing. Or perhaps you're just dwelling on something and you're being in denial and you're consistently telling yourself that you should feel a certain type of way. While at the end of the day, it's really up to you how you want to feel. So these are the ways that I've been able to successfully shift the way I feel, right? Successfully shift. It's not about, oh, I'm going to be happy. Again, it's more about, all right, what is it that I have to do to be able to stimulate myself in a way that can achieve the experience, the thought process, and then eventually, obviously, the mood that I want to feel. And then the last thing is, again, I'm going to reiterate this again, and I believe that I mentioned this in the beginning of the video. Despite of how you feel, do it anyways. If this was the first point that I mentioned, fuck it. This is going to be the last point as well, because this is one of the most important points. Even if you think about it, even if you come to the solution, even if you come to the conclusion and you know exactly what you have to do, if you don't do it, you're still going to now put yourself in a disempowered state, because now you're going to allow this negative communication in your head saying you don't do what you say you're going to do. And this is why you deserve to feel this way. And now you're going to put yourself in this hypnosis where you're consistently feeling a certain negative way because of the way that you consistently are communicating with yourself mentally and physically in this external reality, right? You have to consistently put yourself in a position where you can allow to influence yourself in all the ways that you want to influence yourself, so you can start to tap into the states and into the moods that you want to feel. Think about it. Anytime that you felt great, anytime that you did something that made yourself proud, it was about an action that you did, a way that you thought about it. Maybe you didn't believe that you could do it, but you did it anyways, and you felt great about it. Maybe in the beginning you were a little bit nervous, right? But you fucking did it anyways. And because you did it anyways, you got a result that you knew was available, but perhaps you weren't 100% sure. However, it happened. And even with that slight uncertainty that you felt, that you weren't 100% sure, but it would be a great thing for it to happen, and it actually fucking happened, now you feel a million times better because you were capable of making it happen. Well, even if it didn't happen, again, take the feedback that you receive from that specific experience. Why do you feel the way you feel? What can I do with this feedback, right? What can you do with this feedback? And then apply it in a way where it allows you to perhaps get another piece of information that allows you to build a stairway to where it is that you ultimately want to go. And that's the fucking key. Keep fucking going. Never give up. Allow yourself to go out there and fail until you fucking win.